Yes, people, welcome back to another TS Talks podcast. Hope you're all doing good, keeping safe. Now, in this one, I'm just talking about Arsenal and, basically doing a roundup of players who I believe should be sold this summer. And yeah, I decided to call it Arsenal Summer Sell. For the last few seasons, Arsenal's had, on average, even the board have come out and said they've had like a Champions League wage budget, a Champions League wage bill on the Europa League budget, and now there's no European football budget. There's no Champions League money. There's no Europa League money. There's no Europa Conference League money. There's the money gone. So definitely a lot of players need to be cleared out this summer. And to start off, I'm going with Alex Runnerson. Now, I'm not sure how much we got this guy for. Can't be a lot. You talk about this guy, some Icelandic goalkeeper, Iceland goalkeeper. When they said Iceland, I don't even think they meant the country. I'm convinced they meant the supermarket Iceland. Like, my man is terrible. I watched him in one Europa League game. I was like, one goal. I can't remember which game it was. One of the group stage games. And there's a goal that got scored, but it was from distance. So you're like, oh, okay, maybe. It looked like maybe you could have done something with that. But it went in fine. Then it was that Man City game in the Carabao Cup. And yeah, I don't know. If it was me personally, I would have subbed him off because he was having such a stinker. And, you've seen Arteta come out and more or less kind of say it was kind of a panic signing. And you're just like, damn, man, panic signing this guy. Like, truth be told, we would have been better off promoting one of the younger goalkeepers like a Conquo, who's been on the bench a few times this season, or even like a Hilson, Hine. One of those, they would have been better off than this guy. This guy is dreadful, and that's nothing against him personally, but he's got no future at the club. And yeah, man, he can go for that 1 million, and we can get him gone quick time. Next player is Hector Bellerin. Been at the club for many years. I think this season again, I'm kind of in two minds about this. I definitely feel he should go. But what annoys me is that the talkers that last summer he wanted to go. So it's like, if a player really wants to go, let them go. Like, no offense to Bellerin, but he's not like a prolific goal scorer or a prolific chance creator that's really going to impact the team with his absence, in my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I feel we would cope without him. And, towards the end of the season, he's fallen to third in the pecking order. He fell behind to Cedric for a little while. Then Chambers came out of nowhere, and, he's barely played since. So, for me, I definitely feel like we could get some change from him, and the talk is we probably could get around 20 million for him. So I think 20 would be good money for him. But I just feel it's time for both parties to kind of split. He's been at the club for quite some time. He, from last summer, hasn't wanted to be here. And, the fact that we got some rebuild thing to do, he kind of needs to go himself. The next player on my list, I got his Kolasinac. Went on loan for the second half of the season. He's never, in my opinion, kind of proved to be like a dominant left back. I feel he's one of these players you can only play if you've got a back three and he plays as a wing back. But then the issue is he bombs up down the pitch, and then his crossing ability isn't great, so it's kind of pointless. So yeah, for me, definitely, he's another player that needs to go. On my estimation, I believe we could fetch around 10 million for him. I've put 10 on my thing here. Someone might think I'm, overpricing him. Some might think I'm underpricing him, but I definitely feel he's relatively experienced. I feel like 10 million is a decent estimation for him. The next player on my list is Mavropanos. Now, he's had some decent loan spells in Germany. I've marked him down a bit. I've put him as 7 million. We probably could get 10, or even more. He's one that some people feel like maybe he should be given a chance. You shift out someone like a Rob Holding, and he should be given a chance. But to me, it doesn't seem like the the manager's too keen on him, and whilst the opportunity is there to potentially probably move him on, probably just move him on and put in, I don't know, a sell-on clause or a buyback clause, one of those two, if possible. So I've marked him as 7 million. And when I get to the end of the players that I've got on my list, I'll tell you the calculations of what I've got. The next player on my list is Mohamed Elneny. Surprisingly, didn't get sold this season. Parts of the season kind of became a bit of a mainstay in the side. He seemed to build up a decent partnership with Thomas Partey. But for me, it's time for him to go. I only realised the other day that after this coming season that we've got the African Cup of Nations. So obviously Partey will be gone for a month, but also Elneny will be gone for a month. And in my opinion, for most of the games we're going to play week in, week out this season, it's going to be Prem because we've got no Europa League football. In my opinion, it's best he goes. And, he's another player I think we could fetch around 7 million for. Next on my list is Mateo Guendouzi, a player that, yes, he's got his issues with his behaviour, but sometimes you need someone to kind of channel your energy in the right way. And, I'm not saying he was right for his actions at Brighton and what he did after the game, but it's clear to me that him and Arteta don't get on. And I think the fact that, he kind of refused to apologise and stuff, he's kind of done for at the club whilst Arteta's in charge. So it's best for him to move on. I see they talk around 8 million for him with currently only 12 months left on his deal. For me, I personally would, let's just say, round it to around 10 mil. I'd say round it to 10. Just for my calculations, I've put 10 on there. And, it'd be a shame because I definitely feel we could do a job for us in that midfield. But, he just seems to be a man that, him and the manager are never going to see eye to eye. And again, he's not doing something on the pitch that makes him, prolific and, one of the first names on the team sheet. Another midfielder next in Lucas Torreira. Now, even from the times that Emery was still in charge, there was talks that, he was kind of homesick and all this sort of stuff. And even last time I thought he's someone we should have sold. Went on loan to Atletico Madrid, hasn't played as much as he probably would have wanted to, but it is what it is. I feel for Torreira, we should be able to fetch around 17.5 million for him. I don't think that's overpricing him at all, in my opinion. We signed him for, 22 or 26 mil? I think that's a decent amount for him. Apologies, let him go somewhere where, he feels more settled at home and whatnot. And obviously he recently lost I believe it was his mum, he recently lost a parent, so, he has to do what's best for him at the end of the day. And I think in life, especially in football, if you're not happy with your situation, you're not going to be able to perform to the best of your ability. And he's clearly not happy. He's clearly not able to settle to living in England. And, we're not going to see the best from him on the pitch. So it's best he goes. So, yeah, I'd say 17.5 million for Torreira is what I feel we could fetch for him. Next player, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, towards the end of last season, he was getting in the side at left wing back, dominant performances in the FA Cup semi-final and final. Wolves were interested in him last summer for 25 mil, around that. Didn't sell him. And then like he barely played, which was a bit odd to say the least. Didn't really have much opportunity this season. Ended up going on loan in January to West Brom, predominantly playing in midfield. Not really putting in any dominant or eye-catching performances in midfield. And again, another man that's, fallen down the pecking order. And for me, he did an interview the other day more or less saying that, he kind of wants to know what's going on. Like, no one's called him his agent. He doesn't know what the plan is. So for me, I think when you start coming out of comments like that, you're gone, especially with the way Mikel is. He's probably gone. And I think we could probably fetch around 15 for Maitland-Niles. Now, the next midfielder I'm talking about, at the time of recording this, he is still an Arsenal player, and that is Granit Xhaka. The talk is, he's not even a talk. He basically on the verge of signing for Roma for around £15 million. Again, a player that's been here for about 5 years now. Hasn't quite worked out for him. I have to give him credit. He managed to somewhat turn it around after that incident following the Palace game where, he switched on the fans. And he's probably been one of our better midfielders this season. And at times when he's not played, you can kind of see where we've missed him on the pitch. I'm not his biggest fan. I think for many fans, I think what annoys us is the fact that it was like you get him or get Kante, and we got him. And when you kind of look at the impact that Kante not only had at Leicester, which is why clubs were interested in, but also the impact he's made at Chelsea, recently win the Champions League, these sort of things, it's best for both parties that he moves on. So yeah, I think 15 mil for Xhaka is what I've written on here. So that's what I'll go with. Then the next player on my list is Rhys Nelson. I don't know what's happened with this guy. The talk is that, at the beginning of the season, I think they wanted him to go on loan. He said he wanted to kind of fight for his place. I remember we played a Carabao Cup game at Leicester, playing on that left wing, and he was looking prominent on that left wing. I played a few good games in the Europa League, and you're thinking, oh, okay, cool. It was even cool for him to start Premier League games ahead of Willian, and then he was in decent form. I'm not saying he was ripping up trees or tearing the place out, but he was in decent form. Then we could have that Tottenham game away, and because Partey's fit, he literally travelled to Spurs as an additional player, just in case Partey wasn't fit enough to start the game, just so that he'd be part of the match day. And I don't know, maybe something's happened in the background there. For me, it seems that way, but he hasn't been seen since. And yeah, I don't know the full details about looking at it. I don't really feel he's been treated right for the manager, because you can't be in relatively decent form, but albeit in Europa League matches, then the time kind of comes for you to kind of, settle that across to the Premier League. And then, because obviously Partey's an important player, he's a big signing of the last summer transfer window, but, you're basically travelling to a game knowing that unless this guy isn't fit enough to start a game, although he doesn't play in the same position as me, I'm not even going to make the matchday squad. So, yeah, I think 8 million for Nelson would be decent. Whether he can go off to somewhere, I don't know, in the Championship or even in the Bundesliga, somewhere where he can, just get down, focus on his football and, just get on with it. And, I wish him all the best of his career. And the last player I've got on my list here is Eddie Nketiah. Now, for me, he's a man that should have gone on loan in the summer. I don't know. I think towards the back end of last season, the way he had Lacazette out the side, maybe something predominantly in his head maybe made him feel like, maybe he was given assurances, he's kind of going to be a bit of the guy this season. It hasn't worked out that way. I can't blame the manager fully on this, because he was given some chances this season in the Prem. Most memorably, I remember, is the game away at Everton where I believe it was Tierney squared the ball to him, and it's like, if you take a touch, he probably places it bottom corner, but he tried to hit it first time wide, lost the game. At the time, the team's not performing well. And for me, I don't actually think Eddie's a bad player. I feel he's a sort of player that maybe the system has to suit him. You kind of know what his strengths are. He's meant to be this, fox in the box. He's not like a Lacazette. Although he said he's been trying to work on his game of kind of, linking up play back to goal. I don't really see him as that sort of player. Maybe he can try and evolve into it a bit better. He's not really an aerial threat. So yeah, but he's another player I definitely feel needs to just go out there and play football week in, week out. I think come January he should have gone on loan. Just go on loan and just play. Like, look at Willock. Like even Willock's had this great goal-scoring form for Newcastle towards the back end of the season. But it's not like he's gone Newcastle and started every game. There's been times he's been on the bench. Like, when he was going through the first bit of that goal-scoring run, it was literally known as, like, super sub. And he's like, no, you don't want to be known as that. But it's like, sometimes you just need to go out there and play. And, you'll see your strengths. I think the only thing, again, is like January, West Ham were looking at around 25 mil for this guy. The club turned it down. Now he's down to what his last 12 months now. I'd probably say you get around 12 million for him. But for me, I feel it's best for him to just make a move. I don't see where his first team football is going to come from next season with there being no European football. I don't see the club selling the Aubameyang. Even if they do sell Lacazette, you've got Martinelli, and then you've also got Balogun, who recently signed a new deal as well. So for me, I think 12 million. The talk is that Watford may be interested in him. Maybe go to Watford. It'll be a bit of a challenge. Just promoted back into the league, but the training grounds around the corner. You ain't got to do no adjustments, man. You'll be all right. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the summer with all the players I mentioned, but I'll say around 12 million for Eddie. That brings me to like a rough estimate of around 122 million, just based on the prices I put for each of the players I mentioned. And I think 122 million is not bad. There's other players to add into that list. Willian, although you might have to pay someone to get rid of Willian, or even if a million, someone could take Willian. Cedric, another player maybe get rid of, if Leno wants to go. So there's definitely money to be generated at Arsenal this summer transfer window to reinvest into the side 100%. It's just down to the people in charge to do what needs to be done. I'm seeing talks about Ben White for 50 million, and I'm like, it sounds good, but I don't feel like centre-half is the main area that we need to be focusing on right now. You're looking at Brighton, maybe Lamptey, but he had a bit of a serious injury, so maybe you look at Max Aarons. I feel like definitely, the areas definitely we need to look at is like a right back, a left back, a backup left back. Maybe go back to Brighton and look at Matt Ryan as the backup goalkeeper. Whoever knows what's happening with this goalkeeping situation, and then midfield, Bissouma. So. And then obviously we need attacking players, so you might have to re-look into that Aouar situation, the Odegaard one. You need to look into these sort of things. But for me, with the players I mentioned, and the rough estimates I put, I feel like adding that to whatever the club's summer transfer budget is, should definitely be enough to clear a lot of the wage bill, but also allow us to go and get some players that's going to better the squad for the next season to come. And like I said, because of the lack of games, the no European games next season, it means the squad needs to be trimmed and relatively thin. We don't need to have, a Premier League side and Europa League side with no European football. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it all. I know a bit lengthy, probably my lengthiest talk to date. But it's something I got a lot of thoughts on, and I kind of got to rein myself in, otherwise I'll keep talking forever. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts on this. If you're listening on YouTube, on the comment section below. Obviously, if you listen on all the other podcast sites, then it's posted on my Instagram, so you can let me know in the comment section there. You can even message me on the Instagram. And yeah, man, that's it from me. I hope to catch you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed listening. And yeah, if you're on the YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.